Welcome back, everyone. Today's episode is all about some of the most valuable and collectible Canada 1-cent coins ever produced. While most Canadian pennies were worth only 1 cent in circulation, certain years, mint varieties, rare errors, and high-grade examples have become highly sought after by collectors. Some of these coins have sold for hundreds, thousands, and even tens of thousands of dollars at auction. Let's explore the top 5 most valuable Canada 1-cent coins from different years and conditions that... Let's get started first the Canada 1-cent 1976 coin, especially examples found in dirty, worn, and circulated condition. Many people discover these old Canadian pennies in jars, drawers, piggy banks, or inherited collections and wonder whether they could be worth more than 1 cent. In this video, we'll explore the history of the coin, its unique features, collector demand, rarity in different grades, and the auction market value that some examples have achieved over the years. Stay with us until the end, because you may be surprised by what certain 1976 Canadian pennies can be worth. The Canada 1-cent coin of 1976 was issued by the Royal Canadian Mint during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. During the 1970s, the Canadian penny was still an important part of everyday commerce, and millions of these coins circulated throughout the country. The 1976 issue was produced in very large numbers and was used extensively in daily transactions. Because of heavy circulation, many surviving examples today show dirt, discoloration, scratches, and significant wear. These circulated coins tell the story of decades of use and remain popular among collectors building date sets of Canadian cents. The obverse of the 1976 Canadian cent features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. Around the portrait appears the inscription identifying her as Queen of Canada. On the reverse, collectors will find a familiar maple leaf twig design, one of the most recognizable symbols in Canadian coinage. The coin is composed primarily of bronze and has a distinctive reddish-brown appearance when preserved well. Even in dirty condition, the date and design details usually remain visible. Collectors often inspect these coins for strong strikes, unusual errors, or exceptional preservation that may increase value. One of the most common questions collectors ask is whether a dirty or damaged 1976 Canadian penny is rare. The answer depends on the specific coin. Ordinary circulated examples are not considered rare because millions were produced and many still exist today. However, collector demand remains steady because people enjoy completing Canadian penny collections. A dirty coin with heavy wear, stains, corrosion, or scratches usually has limited value. On the other hand, coins showing unusual minting errors, off-center strikes, die varieties, or exceptional historical preservation can attract stronger interest from collectors. Even damaged examples may be worth keeping if they display unusual characteristics that... Let's talk about value. A typical 1976 Canada 1-cent coin in dirty circulated condition is generally worth between 5 cents and $0 and 50 cents depending on its appearance and collector demand. Better circulated examples with clearer details may sell for $1 to $3. Uncirculated specimens can reach $5 to $20 or more depending on grade. Certified high-grade examples are capable of bringing significantly higher prices at auction. Coins featuring notable mint errors may sometimes sell for tens or even hundreds of dollars, depending on the rarity of the error and collector interest at the time of sale. Therefore, while most dirty 1976 pennies are modestly valued, special examples can be much more desirable. If you own a 1976 Canadian penny, avoid cleaning it. Cleaning can damage the surface and reduce collector value. Store the coin in a protective holder to prevent further wear. Examine the coin carefully under good lighting for unusual features, minting errors, or strong design details. Compare your coin with auction records and price guides to determine a realistic value. If you believe your coin may be an error coin or a high-grade example, consider having it evaluated by a professional coin grading service. Patience and research are important when building a collection of Canadian cents. The Canada 1-cent 1976 coin is an interesting piece of Canadian numismatic history. While most dirty circulated examples are common and worth only a small premium over face value, they remain collectible and historically significant. Higher grade examples, rare varieties, and mint errors can command much stronger prices in the collector market. Always inspect old coins carefully before spending or selling them, because hidden treasures do occasionally appear. Next up, the Canada 1 cent coin from 1986 in circulated condition. At first glance, this coin may seem like an ordinary Canadian penny that many people have seen in pocket change. However, collectors are always interested in older coins, especially those that can carry hidden value due to their condition, rarity, minting characteristics, or collector demand. In this video, we'll explore the history of the 1986 Canadian penny, its unique features, its rarity and circulated condition, and the auction prices it can achieve in today's market. Stay with us until the end because you might discover that a simple penny in your collection is worth more than you think. The Canada 1 cent coin of 1986 was issued by the Royal Canadian Mint during a period when pennies were still an important part of everyday commerce in Canada. The coin features a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse, designed by Arnold Mackin. On the reverse is the famous maple leaf twig design created by G. Kruger Gray, a symbol that has appeared on Canadian cents for many decades. In 1986, millions of these pennies were produced for circulation across Canada. They were struck primarily from bronze-plated materials and were intended for everyday use. Because of their heavy circulation, many examples today show signs of wear, scratches, discoloration, and other damage. Despite their large mintage, collectors continue to seek well-preserved examples and unusual varieties. The 1986 Canadian cent has a diameter of approximately 19 millimeters and weighs about 2.5 grams. The obverse displays Queen Elizabeth II facing right, while the reverse showcases two maple leaves attached to a single stem above the denomination 1 cent. And the year 1986.1 feature that attracts collectors is the coin's classic Canadian design. The maple leaves have become an iconic symbol of Canadian coinage. Collectors also look for striking errors, off-center strikes, die cracks, double designs, and unusually preserved surfaces. Such characteristics can significantly increase the value of an otherwise common coin in circulated condition. The 1986 Canadian penny is generally considered common because millions were produced and used extensively in daily transactions. However, demand still exists among collectors who are building complete date collections of Canadian cents. Damaged or heavily circulated examples are usually not rare. Coins with scratches, corrosion, dents, environmental damage, or excessive wear tend to sell for only a modest premium over face value. Nevertheless, some collectors purchase circulated coins to fill gaps in albums, especially when the coin still retains clear details and readable dates. The real excitement begins when collectors discover unusual mint errors or exceptionally preserved examples. Error coins and high-grade specimens are much scarcer and can attract significant attention at auctions. For a typical 1986 Canada 1 cent coin in circulated condition, market values generally range from about 5 cents to 50 cents USD, depending on the amount of wear and overall appearance. Coins that are heavily damaged may only be worth a few cents to collectors. Better circulated examples with attractive surfaces can sell for $1 to $3. Uncirculated pieces often command higher prices, especially those certified by professional grading services. If a 1986 penny contains a notable mint error, the value can rise dramatically. Certain error varieties have sold for tens or even hundreds of dollars at specialized auctions, depending on the rarity and significance of the error. Premium gem quality examples can also achieve impressive auction results when demand among collectors is strong. If you own a 1986 Canadian penny, examine it carefully under good lighting. Look for unusual features such as double lettering, die cracks, off-center strikes, or other minting abnormalities. These characteristics can greatly increase collector interest. Avoid cleaning the coin, even if it appears dirty. Cleaning can damage the surface and reduce its collectible value. Store the coin in a protective holder or coin album to prevent further wear. Collectors should also compare their coins with certified examples and consult recent auction records to understand current market trends. Sometimes a seemingly ordinary coin can possess characteristics that make it much more valuable than expected. The Canada 1 cent coin from 1986 may not be one of the rarest Canadian coins ever produced, but remains an interesting piece of Canadian numismatic history. In circulated condition, most examples carry modest values, typically ranging from a few cents to a few dollars. However, exceptional specimens, mint errors, and high-grade examples can command much higher prices in the collector market. So, before you ignore an old Canadian penny, take a closer look. You never know when a small coin could turn into a valuable collectible. Next up, the Canada 1 cent 1996 coin in rusty condition. Many people find old Canadian pennies in jars, drawers, or inherited collections and wonder if they could be worth more than face value. While a rusty and damaged coin is usually less valuable than a well-preserved example, some collectors still search for older Canadian cents to fill album spaces or complete date sets. In this video, we'll explore the history, unique features, rarity, collector demand, and current market value of the 1996 Canadian penny. The Canada 1 cent coin was an important part of everyday commerce for generations. The 1996 penny was produced by the Royal Canadian Mint and features the famous maple leaf twig design on the reverse. During the 1990s, millions of Canadians used these coins in daily transactions, making them a common sight in circulation. Although Canada officially discontinued the penny in 2012, older cents remain popular among collectors and coin enthusiasts who enjoy building complete date collections. The 1996 Canadian penny is composed primarily of steel coated with copper plating. Because of this composition, coins that have been exposed to moisture can develop rust when the protective copper layer becomes damaged. The obverse features a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, while the reverse displays two maple leaves attached to a single stem. The date 1996 appears beneath the maple leaves. Rust spots, corrosion, discoloration, and surface damage are common on examples that have been stored improperly for many years. When discussing rarity, it is important to understand that the standard 1996 Canadian penny is not considered a rare circulation issue. Millions were minted, and many examples still exist today. However, collector demand depends heavily on condition. Rusty coins are generally less desirable because corrosion permanently damages the surface. Most collectors prefer bright, original coins with little wear. Even so, some beginners may purchase rusty examples as inexpensive fillers until better specimens become available. If a rusty coin also displays a rare minting error, its value could increase significantly despite the damage in rusty condition. A typical 1996 Canada 1 cent coin usually sells for around 5 cents to 50 cents Canadian dollars, depending on the extent of corrosion and overall appearance. Heavily rusted pieces may have little collector value beyond curiosity. Examples with moderate wear but readable details can sometimes bring a small premium from collectors assembling date sets. High-grade, uncirculated examples are worth considerably more, often ranging from a few dollars upward. Rare era varieties, if authenticated, can sell for much higher prices at specialized auctions. If you discover a 1996 Canadian penny, avoid cleaning it. Cleaning can reduce collector value and leave unnatural marks on the surface. Store coins in a dry environment using coin holders or albums designed for long-term preservation. Examine the coin carefully for unusual errors, such as off-center strikes, double designs, or other minting abnormalities. When evaluating value, compare your coin with recently sold examples and pay close attention to condition. Even common coins can attract interest when preserved properly. The Canada 1 cent 1996 coin in rusty condition is generally a common collectible rather than a major rarity. While corrosion significantly lowers desirability, these pennies remain interesting reminders of Canada's numismatic history. Most rusty examples are worth only a few cents to a small fraction of a dollar, but unusual errors or exceptional circumstances can sometimes lead to higher values. If you enjoy coin collecting, every coin tells a story, and even a rusty 1996 Canadian penny can be an exciting piece of history. Next up, the Canada 1 cent 1975 coin, specifically in damaged condition. Many people assume that old pennies with scratches, corrosion, stains, or heavy wear have no value at all. However, some collectors are surprised to learn that even damaged coins can attract interest, especially when there are older Canadian issues. In this video, we'll explore the history of the 1975 Canadian penny, its unique features, rarity, collector demand, and the auction market value that some examples can achieve. Make sure to watch until the end because we'll also share some useful tips for collectors and coin hunters. The Canada 1 cent 1975 coin was produced by the Royal Canadian Mint during a period when the penny was still widely used in everyday commerce across Canada. By 1975, the Canadian 1-cent coin had become a familiar part of daily life, passing through millions of hands every year. The coin features a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse, reflecting Canada's status as a constitutional monarchy. On the reverse, collectors can find the iconic maple leaf twig design, one of the most recognizable symbols in Canadian coinage. Although billions of Canadian pennies were produced over the years, each date remains an important piece of Canada's numismatic history. One of the most interesting features of the 1975 Canadian penny is its classic design and bronze composition. The obverse displays Queen Elizabeth II facing right, while the reverse shows two maple leaves attached to a single stem with the denomination 1 cent and the year 1975. The coin weighs approximately 3.24 grams and has a diameter of about 19 millimeters. While most examples appear ordinary, collectors often search for unusual varieties, striking errors, off-center strikes, die cracks, or coins with exceptional preservation. These special characteristics can significantly increase collector interest and value in general. The Canada 1 cent 1975 is not considered a rare circulation coin because millions were minted. However, finding examples that have survived for decades creates ongoing interest among collectors. Damaged coins, including those with rust-like corrosion, environmental damage, scratches, dents, or discoloration, are much less desirable than well-preserved examples. As a result, most damaged 1975 pennies trade for only small amounts. Nevertheless, collector demand can still exist if the coin has a notable mint error, an unusual variety, or historical significance. Some collectors purchase damaged coins as affordable placeholders until they find higher-grade examples. Now let's talk about value. A heavily damaged Canada 1 cent 1975 coin generally sells for between 5 cents and 50 cents Canadian dollars. Coins with moderate wear but readable details may bring around 25 cents to $1. Better-looking circulated examples can sometimes sell for $1 to $3, depending on eye appeal. If a damaged coin also displays a genuine mint error, prices can rise substantially, sometimes reaching $20, $50, or even more at specialized auctions. High-grade, undamaged examples certified by professional grading services can command much stronger prices, especially if they receive premium grades. However, for most damaged 1975 pennies, values remain relatively modest. If you own a Canada 1 cent 1975 coin, avoid cleaning it, as cleaning can reduce collector value. Store the coin in a protective holder to prevent additional damage. Examine the coin carefully under magnification for unusual features, such as double designs, die cracks, off-center strikes, or other mint errors. Compare your coin with known varieties and consider consulting experienced collectors or professional grading services if you believe you have discovered something unusual. Remember that condition plays a major role in determining value, so preserving the coin's original surfaces is always important. The Canada 1 cent 1975 may not be one of the rarest Canadian coins, but it remains a fascinating piece of Canadian history. In damaged condition, most examples carry only modest value, typically ranging from a few cents to a few dollars. However, coins with unique mint errors or unusual characteristics can attract significant attention from collectors and sometimes achieve impressive auction results. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced numismatist, it's always worth taking a closer look at old Canadian pennies, because you never know when you might discover a hidden treasure. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more rare coin discoveries and value guides. See you in the next video.